Righto! Welcome to Captain Dorja's Armory. This is Captain Dorja. As you can see, we are in the garage, and your eyes do not deceive you. We are looking at a Churchill Mk VII. Not my favorite tank in the game, not gonna lie. The keen-eyed will no doubt note that we are still using garage footage from the test server, World of Tanks Common Test, Captain Dorja NA. I do not have 22,000 gold, and I definitely don't have 90 million credits. I wish. Oh my word, I'm getting stupid blind company battle invites again. Well, anyway, we're gonna take a look at a replay of the Churchill Mk I, or the Churchill Mk VII. Now this is, I mean, I'm not going to say it's a crappy tank, but it's not really that good. And it's got a couple of problems. The first problem is it's really slow. It only goes 20 kph. It doesn't turn particularly well. But on the upside, it's got quite a bit of health, 880 health, and pretty good armor. 152 millimeters on the front of the hull and turret. 95 on the hull sides and the turret sides, and 50 on the hull rear, 95 on the turret rear. So the Churchill 7 is pretty well armored, so that's kind of what it's got going for it. Downsides, though, is the thing is riddled with weak spots. This is a weak spot. Pretty much this whole flat part is a weak spot just because it's flat. Same thing with down here, that's pretty weak. The tracks on it are just massive, so you get tracked a lot. Gun mantlet. I think the gun mantlet is actually a weak spot because it's like just a hole in the turret, basically, with a gun poking out. Then on the sides, which are theoretically strong, I know this is a weak spot. I think that this might be as well. This thing's just littered with weak spots. So yeah, you're pretty well armored, but you're really only well armored on paper. When you start having to fight things much, tier 7, you do alright sometimes, but if you're running into like an IS or whatever, they just punch you in the face. Unless they hit like right here and then it bounces. But, to start running into tier 8s, they just don't give a hoot in hell about your armor. They just shoot right through it. And the last kind of low point of the Churchill 7 is its gun is crap. It's got a great rate of fire, but it's got, well, I guess mediocre penetration. It's only a tier 6 after all, so 148 penetration's not bad. It's better than the 88mm L56, but only 140 damage per shot. That's pretty crappy. Aiming time's not bad. Accuracy is actually pretty good. So I guess it's not all bad news for the gun, but still, I mean, we're driving a heavy tank that hits for less damage than it hits for less damage than a Panzer IV-S, or, anything hits for less damage than a Stug 3. Tier 5 tanks for hits harder than this thing. But anyway, let's get on to the replay. This is a replay featuring the Churchill Mk VII platooned with Darth Yoda 88, make that Darth Yoda 89, aka Aaron, in his KV-1S. So, Himmlesdorf, standard battle, Churchill Mk VII, platooned up with Aaron in his KV-1S, and I just noticed our AMX 5100 driven by rotten chicken smell. I saw him in a match I played today on the server, and I thought it was a funny name because he was the top player on the enemy team and I was the top player on my team. And I'm actually a member of a clan called Evil Chickens, and I was just hoping that the rotten chicken he smelled wasn't me. But yeah, that would have stunk. No pun intended. Right, so looking at the matchmaker, not impressed. Churchill Mk VII in a pretty hostile environment. And this thing is really well armored for a tier 6, but that armor doesn't really serve you that well above. It does alright against tier 7s, but most tier 8s just don't care. They just shoot right through the thickest parts. Plus, the thing is riddled with weak spots, so the armor on the Churchill Mk VII is thick on paper, pretty underwhelming in reality. Slow, faster than my T-95, but slow, and the gun is underwhelming. So I decided to come over here and just support. And I get a pretty good opportunity right here with this Yag Panther just giving me his flank, ignoring me. I track him and put as much damage as I can with this pea shooter into him. At least it's got a good rate of fire and it's pretty accurate. So because I'm the immovable object, I'm not going up the hill, but Aaron's taking his KV-1S up there, which is not a bad idea with its mobility and firepower. It can act more like a medium tank in this sort of a matchup. I still have to try and play the heavy tank, which is kind of crappy because with armor that these tier 8s can just ignore, I basically can't play a real heavy tank. So I get a lucky shot there on the ARL and set him on fire, and he burns to death. That made me pretty happy. So, like a jerk, trolling it up in chat, get set on fire. Pretty much, I do that anytime anyone gets set on fire, even if it's me. We're going to take a couple of dodgy shots here at this AT-8. Those things are armored like Fort Knox, with having that in common with pretty much all the British tank destroyers. And there's another one. And I don't really know the capability of the British TDs very well. But with this gun at this range, I'm never going to penetrate that thing, so I'll farm up that easy A-20 kill. And I'll take shots at this guy's side while he maneuvers, but wasn't quite quick enough on the draw, and he gets away. But it looks like our flank down here is doing pretty well, and as long as we can keep the pressure on, it looks like we should be alright. So as I move up, I take a look into the middle, and I notice this stock ARL, and he just looked so miserable that I just thought I should kill him. You know, the stock ARL needs to be put out of its misery as rapidly and as often as possible. And our Type 62 ninjas the kill. Right, so moving on. Pressing the Churchill Mk VII Blitzkrieg attack, you can see on the minimap, which I need to remember to increase, that our hill attack has broken through, and they're now rushing down into the flank of the enemy. This match is going very well for us. We've rolled them up on both flanks, and we're advancing everywhere. And again, still trying to get shots on these AT-2s. This is, I try to track him while he comes around the corner, but fail. And, this was probably not a good idea, considering I don't know really any of the properties of the AT-2. I decided to just get into a gun duel with him. We've got about the same health, and I figure I've got to have the guy beat on rate of fire and damage per minute, because that's basically what the Churchill Mk VII does. It's got good rate of fire, and it DPMs things. So at first he was penetrating easily, but I angled my armor against him, and as you can see, he is penetrating, but he's also taken some bounces. One looks like one off my turret. I'm not sure where the other bounces were, but he did bounce a couple of his shots. And our backup came in and saved the day, so match over. That was a lot more successful than I thought it was going to be for both me and Aaron. Well, here you can see a post-battle results screen for the Churchill Mk VII Mastery Badge Ace Tanker. Everybody likes Ace Tanker badges. Was pretty surprised to get it on this match. I mean, I did alright, but really, usually you have to get 2,000 experience unmodified or so to get Ace Tanker, and 3,624 on a double is not a bad double, but honestly, it's not especially good either. So, to get Ace Tanker out of that, clearly the Churchill 7 is not something that a lot of people are out racking up massive scores on. So yeah, you can see Ace Tanker, basically 40,000 credits, 3,600 experience doubled, Didn't die, but only barely. Did quite a bit of damage to this guy, and actually pretty good damage to the ARL as well, because I set him on fire. 2 hits on an A20, whoop-de-doo, and duked it out with this AT-8 for quite a while. Top experience on the team, 1208 unmodified. Again, that's pretty low to get Ace Tanker. Did pretty well there. And you can see 2,500 damage dealt. That's in a Tier 8 match with a Churchill Mk VII. That's pretty good. I think the average damage on the gun is something like 135. So that's pretty bad. It's roughly the same damage as the 88 or the 75 millimeter L70, which is not known for its high alpha damage. Much better rate of fire than that, though. Potential damage received 1,000. Not that big of a deal. Managed to survive, which is pretty good since I only have 880 health. But I did bounce some of those AT-8 shots there at the end. Ran a profit. I've got a premium account. I run a profit on pretty much everything all the time. So running a profit on a Tier 6 is not that big of a deal either. The big news is Ace Tanker, yay! Also, it was just a fun match. It was a good match where me and Aaron both did pretty well, kind of outside of our, we weren't like top tier or just crushing noobs or anything. So it was a good match. So yeah, that was the Church 7 and the KV-1S. Not really a combo that I would suggest doing too often. They don't really synergize with each other that well, being that they're two vastly different tanks with really different playstyles. As you could see in that match, we basically were a platoon that just was two independent players that happened to be on the same team. He went hill, I went 3-line. But, it worked out, and sometimes it is pretty valuable to actually have your platoon split up like that and cover different parts of the map. But yeah, we managed to pull a pretty good result out of it, not through our own efforts, but by just a good team effort. And it was definitely nice to get the Mastery Badge Ace Tanker on this thing. The only reason I took it out is because I hadn't driven it in months, and so I wanted to get a double on it so that I can get over it and get to the good British heavies. So yeah, that's that's that for now, and Captain Dorja for Captain Dorja's Armory, and just remember, you can never have enough big guns, and when you're driving this thing, you'll wish that you had more big guns.